Welcome back to the Explainer Focused Learners. Today, we are diving into what is honestly one of the most exciting, high-stakes adventures in modern science. We're talking about the hero's journey of a drug actually trying to make it to the market. For decades, discovering a new life-saving medicine has been this monumental challenge, just a seemingly endless process of trial, error, and, frankly, a lot of immense frustration. But today, we're going to look at how artificial intelligence has basically stepped in as the ultimate cheat code for pharmaceutical chemistry. It's completely rewriting the rules of how we discover, design, and deliver medicine. Now, to really understand why this is such a massive deal, you have to understand the sheer scale of the old way of doing things. Traditionally, developing just one single new drug is an incredibly brutal process. It takes 10 to 15 years of painstaking research. We're talking thousands of physical experiments, and it demands billions of dollars in investment. Billions, with a B. And you know what the most heartbreaking part is? Despite all that time and money, a massive number of these drug candidates just fail before they ever even reach the market. The pharmaceutical industry was literally desperate for a way to accelerate this timeline and stop candidates from failing so late in the game. Okay, let's dive into this and just quickly map out our obstacle course today. We're going to walk through the discovery problem, finding the target, designing the molecule, predicting safety, personalized medicine, and finally, we'll look at the future of AI labs. All right, kicking things off with Section 1, the discovery problem. So the fundamental goal of drug discovery is pretty simple, right? Finds chemical compounds that can cure diseases. But doing that safely, it's literally like trying to find a needle in a cosmic haystack. Every successful drug has to survive this grueling gauntlet of stages. First up is identifying the biological target. Then you've got to find the active compounds. That's hit discovery. That's followed by optimization, where scientists tweak the molecule to make it more potent. And even after all that, it still has to pass preclinical tests and exhaustive clinical trials before regulators ever stamp it for approval. Traditionally, a bottleneck at any one of these steps adds years to the timeline. But today, AI is stepping in and contributing to nearly every single stage of this process. Moving right along to Section 2, finding the biological target. Before you can build a weapon to fight a disease, you have to know exactly what biological abnormality is causing the problem in the first place. Diseases map directly to specific targets in the body. Usually that's a protein, an enzyme, a receptor, or a nucleic acid. For instance, to fight cancer, we're often targeting specific proteins. For Alzheimer's, it's amyloid proteins. Now, matching a disease to its exact target used to take years of intense lab investigation. But today, AI essentially acts like a superpowered biological search engine. It rapidly scans through massive amounts of genomic data to spot these hidden patterns, which massively reduces research costs and dramatically improves early success rates. Which brings us to Section 3, designing the perfect molecule. Once the AI helps us pinpoint that biological target, the next step is actually building a chemical to interact with it. We're designing the molecular protagonist of our story. Enter CAD, or Computer-Aided Drug Design. You can think of this as the ultimate digital drafting board. Instead of just blindly mixing chemicals in a lab, AI enhances CAD by rapidly analyzing three-dimensional structures, finding those active compounds, and optimizing properties entirely on a computer screen. To really wrap our heads around how this works, we rely on one of the most fundamental concepts in pharmaceutical chemistry, molecular docking. Just imagine the target protein in your body as this really complex three-dimensional lock. The drug molecule that we are designing, that's the key. The entire goal of molecular docking is to predict exactly how well our chemical key is going to fit into that biological lock. And what's really fascinating here is that when the AI scores the key's fit, it isn't just taking a wild guess. It's actually estimating three very specific criteria. First, binding orientation, literally how the molecule has to twist and turn to slide perfectly into the lock. Second, the binding energy. And third, the interaction strength. If that binding interaction is strong, that is a massive indicator of potential biological activity. Machine learning significantly boosts the accuracy of these predictions, meaning we can prioritize the absolute best candidates to move forward. And that leads us perfectly into virtual screening. Look at the stark contrast here. Traditionally, physical screening meant testing molecules one by one. We're talking thousands of experiments, eating up massive resources and years of time. AI-based virtual screening does all of this digitally. It evaluates millions of molecules computationally in a matter of hours or maybe days. It predicts biological activity and ranks the most promising candidates before a single human ever touches a test tube. It is literally a monumental leap in efficiency. Okay, on to Section 4, predicting safety and success. Because let's be real, efficacy isn't everything.
A drug might be the absolute perfect key for the lock, but if that key happens to be toxic to the rest of the body, it is never going to reach the market. In pharmaceutical chemistry, every single drug has to pass the ADMT checklist. That stands for absorption, distribution, metabolism, excretion, and toxicity. We have to know exactly how efficiently the drug enters the bloodstream, how it travels to the tissues, how it's transformed by the liver, how it's flushed from the body, and, critically, if it does any harm. AI predicts all these properties using molecular descriptors long before the chemical is even synthesized.
So the crucial point here is that toxicity is a huge reason for late-stage drug failure. But because AI can computationally predict very specific harms, things like organ toxicity, carcinogenicity, or cardiotoxicity, we get this incredibly vital early risk detection. By flagging these dangerous compounds digitally right out of the gate, we save money, we drastically reduce the need for animal testing, and most importantly, we save lives by making sure only the safer drug candidates move forward. Next up, Section 5. Personalizing your medicine. For the longest time, modern medicine has basically relied on a one-size-fits-all approach. But human biology is deeply individual, right? And that brings us to pharmacoeconomics. Patients naturally differ in their genetics, their metabolisms, and their specific disease characteristics. That means you and I could take the exact same medication and have completely different responses to it. AI actually analyzes an individual's genomic information and clinical records to recommend optimal therapies. It's totally shifting the focus toward tailoring the exact right dose and the exact right drug for the individual person. Now, this level of personalization heavily impacts clinical trials, which are the ultimate test of safety and efficacy in humans. Traditional trials, moving step by step from phase 1, safety checks, all the way down to phase 4, post-marketing surveillance, are notoriously slow and incredibly expensive. But AI is stepping in here too. It supports patient recruitment by finding the absolute ideal genetic matches for a trial, analyzes those vast streams of incoming data, and even predicts outcomes. All of this leads to faster trials, lower costs, and just a much more efficient healthcare system overall. Finally, let's get to Section 6. The future of AI labs. We've seen how AI accelerates the current process, but what does the visionary future of this revolution actually look like? Well, it builds right into this concept of self-driving laboratories. And guys, this isn't science fiction anymore. It is the incoming reality. Imagine a perpetual, fully automated loop of drug discovery. First, the AI proposes a brand new compound. Then, physical lab robots automatically synthesize the molecule. Biological testing occurs right on the spot. Finally, the AI analyzes the results, learns from them, and generates even better candidates for the next round. It's this continuous cycle that dramatically accelerates discovery without a human needing to hold a single pipette. However, we definitely need to keep our feet grounded here. Despite all this remarkable progress, AI still faces some very serious hurdles. For one, poor data produces unreliable predictions. Garbage in, garbage out, right? Human biology is also wildly complex, and not every single outcome can be perfectly modeled yet. Plus, we've got interpretability problems. Some of these AI systems function as black boxes, where we don't fully understand exactly how they reached their conclusion. So to maintain public trust and satisfy those strict regulatory standards, the industry really has to ensure data privacy, fairness, and utter transparency. But if we can overcome those challenges, the payoff is truly extraordinary. We are looking at a future that includes digital twins. A digital twin is essentially a virtual model of a patient. Just imagine doctors being able to simulate a drug's exact effect on a highly detailed digital version of you, predicting your specific biological response before you ever even swallow a pill. As AI rapidly transitions from just being a helpful tool to an autonomous engine of discovery, the boundaries of pharmaceutical chemistry are expanding way beyond human limits. The sheer speed and accuracy we're achieving today means that treatments for once incurable diseases might literally be just a few computational cycles away. Which leaves us with a pretty fascinating thought to end on. Will the next great life-saving cure be discovered by a brilliant scientist in a lab coat? Or an algorithm? Thank you so much for exploring this with me today, Focus Learners. Keep asking those big questions.